Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts, like the chart behind me, which is of Canopy Growth Corporation, ticker symbol CGC, which I did not include in the recent cannabis stock overview video, and it was requested, so I'm going to go over it real quick here. I do have some requests from comments on other videos as well as already from the live chat here. And before I get into the tickers, I did want to say that every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern, I am live streaming, taking ticker requests live. Happy to take your requests, so make sure you join if you do want to see them. But if you do miss it, I will add timestamps after the fact so you can skip through the video to find your favorite tickers. And I will be releasing select clips of the tickers that do stand out as videos as well. So, thank you for being here. And Nameless, I did see your comment. Thank you for requesting Lululemon and Apple. I will go over those soon. I'm just going to dive into CGC real quick and then just kind of do a mix of the requests that I get as I go through them. And so, basically just looking at Canopy Growth Corporation did close on Friday last week. So that's April 5th at a price of $10.18, being up about 4% on the day. And like pretty much all cannabis stocks right now, we have seen pretty big rallies. And so I have been a little bit concerned that we might be seeing a pullback, not necessarily, a major one, but just, a correction on the way up, just to kind of sustain the upward moves, because I do feel like the cannabis sector as a whole has a lot of great potential this year as far as Schedule 3 and other leaps forward that the sector is making. And then also just with it being an election year, I do feel like cannabis is something that, voters care about. And so I do think that really, kind of in 4-year cycles, I do think that we tend to see some progress with cannabis. And so this could be a very good year for the sector, and it does seem like it's starting out like that. And so if I do take a measurement from the bottom here to the top, just approximate, the stock price here is up over 320% to the highs, which is right around $11.58. And let's see, the current price, it's up 270%. So I definitely feel like CGC could be pulling back some. And with Tilray earnings on the morning of the 9th, so that's Tuesday morning, I do think that the sector as a whole could be pulling back. It could be a sell the news event. Really, regardless of how earnings are, it's just like a lot of these stocks have been up so much, and with Tilray being one of, if not the largest market cap cannabis corporations, cannabis companies, I do think that if that does pull back, it could drag a lot of the sector with it. And so I do think that CGC could be pulling back. But, I also do have this downtrending line here that has acted as support here, resistance over here. I do think that could be a target for this year, but I do suspect we will be seeing at least one pullback or at least one, slight correction on our way up there. And so looking at that, that's at a price of $18 or so, right around there. But I do think price could be pulling back potentially to $8.35, which was the resistance over here. Prior resistance becomes support. I could definitely see that happening. There is this gap down here to the downside. Filling that would be bringing price down to right around $6 a share. I could see that happening as well, but first we'd have to go to $8.35. So I feel like that's more of a, realistic short-term target, and then kind of see how it goes, take it from there. Also, we do have these, candle, the open here and the wick high here, right around $8 a share. That could be serving as support as well. So, plenty of levels to the downside that could be acting as support before getting to 6. And it's quite possible this gap is left behind. Actually, this gap has already been filled, on our way up. So I take that back. But, with that being said, there is a little bit of weakness there given that there was a gap there, but we do have 3 candles overlapping that range. So yeah, I'm not really too concerned about that gap, but just thinking about this as having been prior resistance, consolidation over here, I don't think price is returning to $6, after thinking about that. But one thing that I can do that might give us an idea of where the stock price might be going at is doing a retracement from the highs here hit on September 12th. That was a price of $19.20, and then going down to the lows hit on March 14th at a price of $2.75. So if I do a retracement from that high, approximately there, down to the lows over here, it does look like price was rejected from the 50% level right around a price of $11 a share. And so, that could be, a significant level that we're dealing with. Does look like we also kind of got rejected from the 382 on the way up, right around $9, then pulling back and then moving higher. So, it is quite possible that $9 or $9.04, just right around there, could be acting as support, and we are just kind of stair-stepping our way up. But if there is a sell the news event around Tilray earnings, or maybe there's some bad news that comes out, I do think that this could be pulling back. So I would look for it to hold $9 a share. I don't think 904 is necessarily that significant. I didn't draw this retracement to the penny. But yeah, just right around $9, and really, ideally not getting any closes below 835. But then moves to the upside on our way up to $18 a share. This downtrend line right here, we could be seeing a retest of right around $13 a share. Here I have the 618 at a price of $12.92, and then just above that, the 786 at $15.68. But, I just think that this stock has been pretty well overextended, has, gone up and down, consolidated a little bit along the way up. And so maybe we're just seeing a little bit of that consolidation before another rip higher. But I do think it is good to have a plan for if it does return to 835, whether that level holds or, if that is a good dip buying opportunity. I think it's good to keep that in mind. But yeah, generally, cannabis sector, I do feel like that's going a lot higher over the course of the year. But yeah. And Cannabis Growth Corporation, let's see, what's the market cap of this one? Almost $1 billion as of right now. So this is one of the larger ones. So in that sense, I do feel like it is less risky. Some of the ones that I've talked about, are pretty small cap. So I do think that this is probably a more secure one to be looking into. And then also before, while I do have this zoomed in, just want to point out here we are forming lower highs in the RSI here, whereas we have been forming higher highs. And so while it is good that it is stepping up and that we have been forming higher lows as well, so that is good, eventually it is quite possible that as price gets high enough, the lower RSI will suggest that there isn't a lot of money stepping in to hold it up there, and it might eventually roll over. We may not be there yet. It could have another leg up to one of the levels that I talked about. So, just wanted to throw that out there because it was requested and I did not include it in the recent cannabis video. But yeah, and then Jose, I see your comment. I will also add Cenntro up here and also Mullen as well. Cenntro and Mullen. And I will try to, I will try to work through these in the order that they have been received, kind of going back and forth between what I have received via, the comment section of other videos and the ones that I receive live here. So I'm not just focusing on the ones that I received before making this video, and I'm going to try and keep this list updated so I don't get lost trying to navigate through the stocks. I'm just going to remove CGC, and then I will go to Nameless's first request, which was Lululemon, which I don't believe I've ever looked at this one. Maybe I have some lines from like the pandemic days and suggested from others, but I have not traded this. I'm not too familiar with it. And hey, Emerald, how's it going? I will take a look at BYON as well. I'll add that up to the list here. BYON, Beyond Incorporated. Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with this one. I was thinking it was Beyond Meat, but I guess it's different. And so I will also add that there. Cool. And so, yeah, I'll just get into the Lululemon chart. It might take a look at this on the weekly time scale just because, yeah, it's got a good amount of history. Might actually be nice to look at this on the monthly and see, maybe maybe there's something over here, a level that could give some insight on where price might be going. So I'm just connecting the high here to, let's see, I'll do it the high here, but I could adjust that to get more wicks into it. And so if we look at that, yeah, no, actually, I think that is probably a good level to be considering, and I might actually make these right to the penny. So that's 30, 35 there, and this is, let's see, what's that high? 8109. So 30, 35 is what I said here, and then 8109. Just lock that into place and see where it lines up. Probably notably lower than current price, which could suggest that it is going to be going lower. And let's see, I mean, how significant does this seem? We got this peak here, we got kind of a fake out break of it over here, and this is on the monthly time frame. Wick below, but really kind of respecting it here with that. And yeah, so I mean, I could see price returning to this, and it might be longer term. But we also, I just talked about some bearish divergence, I believe, with CGC. But here, looking at Lululemon, we do have, I'll try to draw it up here. We do have higher highs formed in the stock price. And then corresponding with that, this peak over here, excuse me, in the RSI, we're actually forming lower lows. Excuse me. And so that is bearish divergence. And this also, does look like it's a double top, or, similar to a double top, going a little bit higher here, but really not confirming above that previous wick high. So the high on, for the month of November 2021, we did get 1 month close above it. So that was December of 2023. But January pulled back, could not get 2 closes above it, or confirming close above it. We have pulled back substantially from there. And so, we started the year, or really ended 2023 up here, and then so far we've come down about 30%. I could see the price coming down 50 to 60%. I mean, really, this would take some time before it gets over here, so maybe it'd be like 50, 55% down. And so I definitely think there's something there with that. And if we, another thing that we could do is a Fibonacci retracement from the low here, just approximate. I'm not going to do it exactly, but so from, let's say I can go up a little bit higher. Let's see, 1639. Okay, so that's it. 516.39. And so right now we are at the 618. It is possible we could be holding that as support, but nameless, I do believe that you were asking about, was it Twilio a little while ago? There was a big drop, and it had arrived right around the 618. And I was wondering, maybe that's going to hang out at the 618. Maybe it has found a bottom. But, considering that over the past month, or so far for the month of April, I guess really we do have to see what, the close looks like for April. But so far, being down 8.65% for the month, I would look for a monthly close above this level. And I'm going to adjust this to be the highs and lows to the penny, just so we can see what exactly we are looking at here. So this is 51 and 1639. So there is that. Lock that into place. And so I would really just look for the monthly close of April to be above $353.31, really right around there. If it is right around there, that might not necessarily mean that it is respecting this level as support, because it could continue lower. It could be, kind of a bear flag like we saw over here, and then a breakdown, continuation to the downside. And so I mean, I could see this settling out right around $309 at the 786 here, but it could also, be doing a full retracement and heading to this uptrending level. So actually, I feel like that uptrending level will eventually be hit, but as time goes on, it could be hit over here, and the price doesn't have to go below this low. So, I think that's just like a time is key there. And if we do flip over to the daily time frame, I got this big gap down. Still seems like it's going lower. This is the daily. And let's see. Yeah, I don't see any bullish divergence or anything because this just keeps going lower. This is just going lower here. Here you do have, this is, let's see. I would expect, if there is a bounce here, that could be starting to form bullish divergence because you have, this low is approximately the same as the current price, right around 353. The low on Friday was 355.23, so right around there. And so I would look for, this level to be respected, and if it is, that could be the start of bullish divergence or weak bullish divergence, as you would have lower lows in the RSI, but it being flat in the price, and so that's weak bullish divergence. Or that might be weak hidden bullish divergence. I'm not sure. I do get them confused a little bit, but it is bullish because you're looking at the bottoms, whether it's the lows in the price or the RSI. But yeah, I think it's at a pretty key level, so hopefully it can hold for the month. And so, like 353, that might be a good dip buying opportunity, but good to have a stop loss if you do see multiple closes below it, as I would think. Yeah, here you even see it on the daily chart. There's still this gap that hasn't been filled. That is to, let's see, the high on March 28th of 2023 was $321.25. So, it is quite possible that price could be returning to that level and then potentially to 786. So I'd say this is probably going down more, but it could be finding support where it's currently at. We do throw up the volume profile. Actually, I was thinking there'd be more this consolidation would have a volume shelf here, but it looks like where that consolidation was most present was actually above the current price. We have broken below it, and I think that's probably largely because there was this gap here. And so there just hasn't been a ton of price action where it's currently at. And so, I think that, just below this level, we do see a gap here, just not too much consolidation there. So I would think that price, at this point, price does seem like it's probably going down to 786 at around $309, maybe $310, something like that. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful. And I will move on to the next ticker. And I do see, hey Quodo. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, Quodo. What's up? Please review. I will do AQST for sure. That was one that I was very interested in. I did not follow through with it, but it was just a beautiful chart. GCTKIN. Is this it? I'm not sure if this is correct. GCTK. But I'll add that to it. And AKBA. I'll add those. And yeah, hey Quodo, what's up? And so yeah, I'll get out of that, and I'm going to delete what I just went over, which was Lululemon. And then I will go over, this was, excuse me, requested from a comment. Somebody was asking that I go over APLD, Applied Digital, ticker symbol APLD, as it has gone lower and just seems to be going lower. It looks like the low, most recent low was $2.94. That is not, however, the 52-week low. If we do look back, in May, it was lower than current price. And so I could see this coming down to $2.51. I drew these lines a while ago, really just having historical significance. This is on the daily time frame. Do have this test of it back here. This is going back to December of 2021. Did bounce right around 250. That was support then, followed by being resistance here in February of 2022. Had a lot of price action around there, but then resistance over here, breaking above it, testing it as support, resistance again. And so I feel like 250 is probably a magnet for the current price. It does look just pretty red. And yeah, I mean, lower lows in the price as well as the RSI, so no divergence there. And yeah, so I mean, I feel like this one is going to $2.51. Earnings is coming up on Wednesday. Not sure if it's pre-market or after hours, but that could be. I mean, really, like how I would approach this, I feel like earnings can be a really nice time to take advantage of some volatility. And so maybe there would be some wicks in the pre-market or after hours whenever earnings are reported, whenever the call is. There could be some wicks to some extreme levels that could be a great time to either add, average down, or pick up shares. And so I would think that, like 250, that might be a nice level to just place a small order, see what happens. And if it gets filled, great. But then you'd also want to, or I guess, I'm saying what I would do if I wanted to add to this, whether that's adding to a position that I currently have, which I don't have a position in APLD, or if I wanted to establish one, I'd probably just place an order, not a full position sized order, but a small order at 250. If it does dip to that level, then that would be great. If it continues lower, though, I'd want to wait and see where it does start to settle out at. And and I would also want to, for me and kind of learning my entry management, stuff like that, I would also want to make that order, not so small that I just like keep averaging into it, keep getting my average down. I want to have specific level like 250, and also, that it's a large enough position that if it does go up, I'm not like, oh man, I could be making more money. I should add as it's going up. And then by the time I've established my position, my average is higher, and then it starts to go down again. So, yeah, I mean, if let's say I wanted to have 100 shares, maybe it'd be good to pick up 25 at the red line at like 250, and then evaluate, see where price is going after that around earnings. And that might be, a good time to add if it goes lower, or just wait to see where it finds a floor. Or if it does bounce, maybe my target is this blue line at like 343 or like 350, the orange line here. That could be a pretty nice bounce. That's is that 25% move, 36% move from, to 350, 40% move there. So yeah, I mean, that could be a nice swing. But I mean, I do feel like, we did see this really bearish consolidation over here. It broke to the downside. Hopefully we'll be seeing a bounce at some point, a volatile move up. Otherwise, if it is just consolidating like this over here, that could just be another bear flag. So good to keep that in mind. But yeah, I mean, I feel pretty compelled about it going to 250. I think that will happen. So that's what I would wait for. But, it is possible that following earnings, it does reclaim 350, does reclaim this downtrending line, which doesn't really seem to be that significant. But, I mean, just looking at the chart, I feel like 250 seems pretty likely. And, hey, Jay, what's up? I will add CVE to the list over here. And I'm just going to try to go back and forth between ones that have been requested from comments and ones that have been requested here in the live chat. So I've got APLD done. I will close that. And I think Nameless's other request was Apple, so I'll go over them quick. And yeah, I mean, I feel like this one, I think TrendSpider, maybe I could pull it up on Twitter. I feel like they did a chart where it looked like this was breaking below some long-term support. So maybe I want to switch over to the weekly, and yeah, maybe it's something with the lows over here. No, I mean, maybe it's actually longer term than that, going back in time to connect some of the peaks over here. This is going to be kind of rough. I mean, I thought I saw something. I might try to pull this up on Twitter. And so let's see. I'm just going to search for TrendSpider. And so I think that they did something. Can I search their page? Let's see. I'm just going to scroll through this real quick. There's some interesting charts on here. You guys might want to check them out. I thought they had one on Apple or Microsoft, SPY, Bitcoin, Tesla. I just want to see Apple. I guess I could just search. Okay, so this is 22 hours ago. Oops. And so, daily candles, it's got this bounce. The bounces off support just keep getting weaker and weaker again. So yeah, it's just like these bounces testing those levels. So let's look at this on the daily chart as they have drawn. And so that's, let's see, going back to January, the end of January here. Yep. So, you know, it's like my lines aren't exact, but you have this yellow line here. It's testing that multiple times. And now, apparently, it looks like, yeah, it's like if there's a level here, right around here, move up, small bounce. And so this might be breaking down again. And let's see, I'll draw horizontal lines from, so there's a low here. That does seem like, you know, it's at a level right now, but then like this low is 165.24. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like it'll be going down there. And also, I mean, this is not that beautiful. It did get kind of a break here. But, I mean, is this a shoulder, a head, shoulder over here? And if that is the case, well, this is interesting. You know, and this is kind of like neglecting this dip here. So, like, if this is the neckline here, I could, you know, I could draw that as like a slanted line. But anyways, if the taking a measurement from the top here to that neckline, just being approximate, that's down by $31. Taking this to the neckline, I roughly drew that uptrending line, so I don't think it's terribly significant, but I could see price coming down a good amount. Let's see, put that there. Yeah, maybe I was too ambitious going back this far in time, but like connect those lows, and that does seem to coincide with this measured move. And let's see, maybe that is also a Fibonacci level, so I will also do Fibonacci from here up to the highs. That does correspond with a 786 retracement. So, yeah, I mean, I think price could be going down to like 150 or 140 with Apple. That might take some time, though. Might take some months. So that is something to consider. And, yeah, I mean, we've got higher highs here, lower highs here. Bearish divergence very clearly there. Price coming down. As of right now, it's a higher low, but we haven't necessarily formed a low. Whereas with the RSI, it's a lower low. So that is potentially like hidden bullish divergence, I believe that would be. But really what that suggests to me is that this hasn't settled out yet, that it's probably going to come lower. I mean, it is possible, though, that this is a higher low in the stock price. But I feel like it's more like with this, and this is on the weekly time frame too, with this bearish divergence, well, I feel like this is probably going lower and could be coming down to right around here. 140 to 150, I would say. So that's what I would expect, but quite possible it could be bouncing and starting to move up to these levels after the week starts. Quodwo, what's up with APLD on oh, you want to look at the options for June 19th? I did already go over APLD, but I can pull it up real quick just to go over if you're curious about the options on there, just so I'm not going back to it much later. Yeah, this is the weekly time frame. So if I were to look at the options table for July 19th, yep, okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I mean, as far as going out so far into, oh, that's 2022. Sorry, 2022. Let's see, July of 2022. July 19th, so it's right around here. There's this big move up, went up 100% in one day. That's what you're curious about. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like maybe something like that could happen, but it'd have to, I mean, here it had consolidated a good amount and then volume really stepped in there for some reason. Push that up. So okay, it's to those prices. Okay. Yeah, so this had the open at let's see, 136 and 112, 104. So on the 18th, right around there, yeah, $1. So, oh, you're saying because there's that gap there. So there's this gap down here. That's a good. I used to pay more attention to gaps, but then I felt like they, it's like they'd be forgotten about for a long time and then get filled. So this high was $1.11. And so I'm just going to make that exactly right and make it nice and blue. And so, yeah, I think that right now, like APLD seems like it's pretty risky. Maybe it stops at 250, but yeah, there is this gap down here, and it doesn't seem to be doing too well. So definitely something to be cautious about. And I don't know why it says 1104. I'm gonna 1.11. No 04. There we go. Cool. Yeah. So could definitely be going down there. And let's see. I got some other requests here. And I will revisit Cenntro and then Mullen. I'll look over quickly. Cenntro. I can't remember the last time I looked at this, but yeah, just from these lows. Yeah, I mean, did break lower, broke above. This is, let's see. So I think this is like a good lesson in confirmation. This is stuff that I'm still working on because I just need to see evidence of whether something is confirmation or not. And so my understanding of this is if this trend line is significant based on these two lows here, if that trend line is significant, we did not break out on April 3rd. We tested it and closed at the line. So this wick high does not count for anything. What counts is the close above that line, the first close above it. And so we did get a close here on the 4th at a price of $1.69, same price that it closed on Friday. But we got this wick high up to $1.88. And so while it is reassuring to see this nice big green candle going up almost 12% on Thursday, but we do have this big wick up. So, I mean, while it did go up about 12% on the day. Oops, I don't want a retracement. Well, it did go up 12% on the day, just going up to the high from that day. That was 25% move up, basically. So it went up about twice as high and then pulled back. And so what we would want to see for a confirmation of this breakout is a close above the high for this day, the 4th. But that's all the way up at $1.88. So that seems like it might be kind of tough and that this might be a fake out breakout. But if we do get a close above 188, then that would suggest that this could be going higher, but then may pull back and retest this uptrend now as support. So I'd keep an eye on if we get a close above this, if it does look strong, if it is respecting this uptrend as support. Right now, I don't see the confirmation that it did get this breakout, that this is now support. I think it's just hanging out above it right now. So it could be short-lived. And if I do look at this maybe on the hour time frame, I'd keep an eye on this high, 188. It went up 1 penny in the after hours, so it's at 170 right now, or after hours on Friday. And yeah, what's the news going on? Oh, so this is around their earnings. Cenntro Electric Group reports fourth quarter earnings. So it was 6 days ago. Cenntro announced fourth quarter and full year financial results. Their revenue increased by 376% to 8.6 million. Increase of vehicles sold by 148%. Profits increased 2.3% from a loss of 22.7%. So it seems like, maybe this is exactly what they needed. And so I would look for it to hold this trend line. And, this is, what Gareth Soloway looks for is when you do see a break of a level, you want to see a retrace to the scene of the crime. And so retracing to the scene of the crime would be this downtrend, this uptrend, based on these two lows over here. And so that's like the low hit on January 19th and February 5th. And so you want to see a retest of that. And so while it is up, from the lows from Friday at 155, I think it'd be good to see like a pullback to around 150 and then kind of evaluate how that holds up. And then maybe that's a bottom before it continues higher. But it does seem like it's looking pretty good, but it's just with this big wick up to get confirmation of that breakout. It's got to go out pretty high, get a close up pretty high. So good to keep an eye on that. But yeah, it's pretty nice. I guess I drew this line thinking that eventually it was going to break down, but then, as it did break down, this was a good opportunity to be adding, it looks like. Let's see, looking at this, like these closes were all above that, except for, this one, no confirmation there. Got a close below here, and this seemed to be confirmation of that. But then, so, this could be, if we want to think about it as this uptrend, sure, but we could also think about it as this close being higher than any of these candles here. So while it may not be confirming being above this uptrend, it has kind of negated the breakdown. And so, I think that this is looking a lot stronger than it was a few weeks ago. And just as long as it holds this uptrend. So maybe there are some dip buying opportunities around 150, 160, and then to just continue evaluating it along this trend line. And let's see, the other one is Mullen, so I'll throw that up as well. And then I'll also catch up on the comments in the live chat. And Jose, you're commenting on Cenntro. waiting for a pullback to jump back in. Yeah, I think it's really good. I'll throw that chart back up, so I'm just talking about the same thing. Sorry if I'm deleting stuff sooner than I should, but I forget all the stocks I'm supposed to cover. But yeah, I think it's like, buying it up here, that's chasing it. And so waiting patiently for it to come down, and then once order gets filled, then at that point evaluating how it's holding up. And I think actually the high from, was it Wednesday? That was $1.55. I mean, that was the low on Friday. So that might be a pretty, maybe it doesn't pull back down to 155. Maybe it pulls back to 160, but I think it'd be good to keep an eye on 155. Rivian, I will definitely add that as well. What's that more money? And then Quodwo is saying I like the volume. Yeah, the volume definitely picking up, but then coming back down a little bit here. So I think that there could potentially be a nice dip buying opportunity before it continues. And Rivian. And then I will just continue on with the Mullen real quick. I'm going to delete Cenntro. Mullen. I'm surprised I didn't draw anything on this. But yeah, I think that, let's see. This is one I never partook in it, and so I'm not too familiar with it. But it always just seemed kind of risky. And then there have just been so many reverse splits. I'm surprised this is this is a 1 for 100. I thought it said 1 for, wait, what? There are 2 reverse splits, 1 for 100, and I thought I saw 1 for 9. Huh. This one, 1 for 9 over there. Okay. But yeah, 1 for 100, that means that this would be trading at 4 cents. And I think you could think about this as like, with Fisker right now. I don't know how many of you are still holding Fisker, paying attention to that. Did just post a video on MKBHD's like autofocus update on the Fisker 2.0 or the Ocean 2.0. And that's just trading at like a couple pennies now. I still have majority of my shares. I was hoping it would go up a little bit to trim, but yeah, I don't know that it's going to happen, and it's not really worth that much to me anymore. And so I feel like with Mullen, I imagine that there are a lot of people who are holding from, before this 1 for 100 reverse split, this being at 4 cents. I think if you still have shares and it's worth a lot less than it was before, it might be a good one to maybe just forget about it and not add to it. Because I feel like whenever I get down on a position, it's like, okay, I'll just keep adding. I'll get my average down. But then over time, after like a 1 for 100 reverse split, it just seems like it's impossible to get the average down at that point. So yeah, this one just seems to me like it's a more risk than reward. But yeah, from that, let's see, from here, these highs. I feel like this is probably just pretty hand wavy. If there is anything here. But yeah, this almost 20% move on one day. And so, starting from, let's say the lows here, goes up as high as like almost 30%, but now you're down at 6-7%, so not really that bad. 11% to the low. But yeah, maybe this is hammer candle, suggesting maybe there's a bottom there, that buyers have been stepping in below $4, so it does make sense. So maybe there could be a nice little rally. And yeah, so if this is to be the bottom at 380, let's see, maybe we can do a Fibonacci retracement from 559. the high there to the low here at 380. Lock that in place. So yeah, I mean, if it starts to go lower than 380, might be a little risky there, but keep an eye on 380, and then if it can close tomorrow above 422 or 423, really being above the 236 level here, that could be good. I do think there would be some resistance around there, or, I guess not so much. There's some consolidation here, but really you start to see more of that consolidation over here with these candles overlapping from the ones over here and over here. You get this nice little volume shelf here, and that would bring price to the 382 at 448.4, 450. And so if price were to run up to 450, I would think that it would be rejected from that level. And so potentially maybe this is like a nice little swing going from current price up to 480, trimming or selling, and then it might come back to 422, find support there, and then maybe go up to the next level. And so that could be a nice way for it to kind of stair step up. So I'd look for a close above 422 and potentially a high of like 450, but I do think it would probably pull back to 422, consolidate before moving up. But it also could, with this level being downtrending, it could be going lower. Yeah, like 350, I guess, is kind of like next on the list there. So, yeah. Yeah, and like one thing for me, I've participated in a fair amount of EV positions. I'm kind of for me, I'm like I went over Canoe GOEV over I think on Friday, and I was thinking, oh well, this does seem like it might be bouncing at I think $2. Maybe that's a nice trade for me to participate in. It's like, yeah, but I've done that enough times with EVs, and then I just end up holding the bag. So I think it's good to be cautious with lower cap EVs, especially because it's so difficult. Like Elon Musk has talked about it so much, how to get a startup EV company to be successful, to be profitable, and not all of them are going to succeed. It is a fairly saturated market, but not saturated with successful companies. Hey, what's up, Big Bird? Big Bird, are you talking about Biora? Going to add more this week and not going to lie. Feeling a little sick with recent price action. Biora going to set me financially free or hurt really bad? I'm glad you're including the laughing emoji there. But yeah, I will include Biora here. And I'm going to try to make some progress with these other tickers. I don't want to get too far behind on them. And yeah, I did just go over Mullen, so I deleted that. And I'm just going to try to go through the list here as people have been requesting them. I did get a request on a video comment on a number of biopharmaceutical companies, but I'll try to get to those, but I don't know if that person's here. If you are here, let me know in the live chat and I'll look over them. Oh, and Ricardo, hey, wow, I've missed a bunch of requests. So I do see Jay has CVE. I did add that. And let's see. Ricardo, sorry I missed your message earlier, your chat. SoFi, I'll definitely add them. And I will go over SOXS. I was going to include SOXS and stuff in the video I just did on like shorting the stock market. The chart and everything, it should be pretty complementary to whether it's SOXS or NASDAQ, whatever. And so, yeah, like SOXS, the really, like I had been looking at the SMH as the long semiconductor ETF, but there's also SOXX, so two X's. And so both of those have pretty similar price action, basically identical, but SOXS versus SOXX. That's a long one that could be looked at. And yeah, so I'm just trying to go through these in order. And so now I'm going to Emerald's request, which is BYON, Beyond Incorporated. Okay, seeing this, $30. I could see this potentially at support. You got this high here. And it is reassuring to see this at multiple dollars, tens of dollars. I feel like I get a lot of I go over a lot of penny stocks or pretty low priced, dollar, couple dollar stocks, and yeah, so you got that volume profile off there. So yeah, here I see this right around 29 bucks. This high over here did get some consolidation there as well, and so it might be at support right now. Let's see other stuff from the past that kind of corresponds with that. I mean, here we could look at, you could do a couple different Fibonacci's here. I'm just going to go from the ultimate low here, 1371 up to the high of 3710 right there. And so, I mean, I guess looking at this is on the daily time frame. I could see price going a little bit lower, like to 28 bucks. That would be like the 382. And I think this will be an interesting experiment because I don't know what the answer is. But if I do this retracement, if I adjust the high here to the high here, I wonder what level pullback this was, because this is a pretty substantial pullback. That's a drop of, let's see, 28%. So I guess that's going to tell us which Fibonacci level that is. But that was a higher low. That was a pullback in a rally higher. We might be seeing another kind of pullback like that. So if I do adjust this Fibonacci retracement to the high here, that would be, the 50% retracement. And so with that being said, 50% would bring this to 2541. So yeah, I mean, potentially this is starting to form a bottom with that green candle there, getting a close above the low, so that's good. So I guess, it would start to be concerning if, I'd be less convinced that a bottom was in if there was a close below this low that was hit on the 4th. That low is 29.70. Close on Friday was higher than that, so that's good. But if there was to be a close below 29.70, especially 28.61, that will make me think this is going lower beyond the 382, which is at a price of 28.17. I'd think that this could be going down to the 50% retracement, 25.41, corresponding with some consolidation here on the way up, consolidation on the way down. Retest of that level rejected from it, just approximate here. That is resistance, consolidation here again, a little bit of support before moving up. So I could see it pulling back to like 25.50, roundish number there. And let's see, this is higher lows in the stock price, and this is starting to get into lower low territory in the RSI. And so that would then be bullish divergence, higher highs, higher lows, lower lows. And so, I mean, price could be going down as far as like 21 bucks before it would negate this divergence here. Maybe, I mean, if it doesn't hold, I could see this as if the 382 doesn't hold, so right around 20 bucks. If that doesn't hold, I would think it would be pulling back to right around 25.50. If that doesn't hold, I would think it'd be bearish, that it could be forming a head and shoulders pattern here. If it does return to either the 618 or these lows right around 20 bucks. Let's see, what was the low here? Right around 20 bucks, 21 bucks. Then I would think that it might be forming a right shoulder and then continuing lower. But right now, I'd look for 25.50, but also keeping an eye on 28 to see if that holds as support. But this, just like right here, you have this down move, big down move, about not even 3%, but a big red candle there. And then you get this doji here. the green doji. Maybe that's going to turn around. It doesn't, continues. And so maybe this is kind of similar to that. And that, rather than it being like a doji, you just got the spinning top. But I think we want to see getting a close, above like 31. Let's see, what was the high on Friday? 31.17 or definitely 31.58 levels to keep an eye on. But yeah, I mean, this could just be, and maybe there's a measured move we could do with this. Like, so this goes from, this high to this high is right around $108, $109 from here to there. That's pretty cool. That's a measured move right there. Also double top up there. This, you just had the single top. So this is a measured move. I would think it'd be pulling back to at least the 50% retracement, which is still, let's see, I'm just gonna, 50%, 50% ends up being right here, 25.41. So I guess not necessarily the 50%, but from this run up, that would be 50% retracement. So maybe it's finding support, but it could definitely be going lower. So hopefully that was helpful, and I will add this to, I don't really check the, it's on the DGenEd list. But yeah, so hopefully that's helpful. I will check the live chat. Yeah, Emerald, glad that was helpful. But yeah, I think it's always good to, like, no matter what it is, whether adding a position, establishing a position, to have specific levels to keep an eye on. And so I think those two fib levels really just corresponding with the highs over here and the highs here. I think those are good ones. But if it does go lower, it could be longer term bearish, but then there could be a bounce up to like 28, $29 to form that right shoulder. But it also could not be happening. I think that's kind of the funny thing about head and shoulders pattern. You imagine one forming based on the beginning of what it might be, and then it doesn't happen. Even if you do see a head and shoulders pattern, it's not guaranteed to play out. And let's see, going back up here to check out the next request. So Quodwo, I see that you have GCTK, and so I will look at them. Unless I need to see where is CVE. Okay, CV is after this. So I'll look over this, Aquestive and AKBA. So this one here, this is up 25% on Friday, 50 cents approximately closing price. For me, I have a tough time with this because it's like, where is it going to go? Where is it going to find resistance? This, and the tough thing with this, it's like this closed at the top. So the high of the day, 49.89, that's what it closed at. So that suggests to me that this is going to go higher. Let's look at that volume. It's not really that much volume relative to these other peaks. So that was a lot of volume, but a pullback. So I think this is pretty interesting. What's it doing in the, after hours? We see it. It's down 0.78%. So what did it do into the after hours? Yeah, it just kind of flattened out. So yeah, I feel like this could be potentially risky. It's definitely risky. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, so right around here, 50 cents. That is kind of a psychological level. You got kind of tough to see. I'll try to, just the chart gets adjusted. But you got all this consolidation. Not really a lot, but you got this consolidation here. This little, I wonder if this is like maybe this is a very tiny left shoulder. This is a giant head. And then it maybe on that note, I think that this could be coming up to 65 cents. That would be maybe not the best thing if this is, a head and shoulders pattern. I think maybe I don't even know if it would hold up on the weekly. Yeah, I think it, yeah, because it's just, let's see, on the weekly time frame, going over here. So it's like, yeah, this is just one candle, another candle, there's a little left shoulder. So I don't know how valid that is. But I could see this going up to 65 cents, but I could also see it as, right around 50 cents is the high, because there is, there are these peaks over here right around that price. And so, yeah, but I think 65, it could be going up to there, but I think once it hits 65, I think it'll probably pull back. And then really, if it does pull back to right around 35 cents, that could be forming right shoulder for an inverse head and shoulders. And, while that is pretty wide, it is a pretty big pattern. The neckline, it's not really that deep. So from the top of the head up to here, and this will probably take place over the course of a couple of months, I would think, for it to form this right shoulder. But if it did, then that could be a potential upside move of 78%, which is a move of 50 cents from this neckline. So going from 65 to $1.60, $1.15, something around there. So yeah, potentially there's something with that, but I mean, if we look at how high it's gone from the bottom, that's 275%. So what kind of company is this? Medical device company focused on the design development of novel technologies for use of people with diabetes and pre-diabetes. Yeah. Seems like there's been some good news around them recently. But yeah, I could see resistance around 65, pull back to 35, retest of 65. And if that happens, and I'll probably ignore it because I don't really pay attention to alerts that much, but I will put an alert at 65 cents. Maybe that will be hit. It'll be interesting to see if this inverse head and shoulders pattern plays out, but it might not. And then so, yep, okay. And then I'll do Aquestive. And I will look at AKBA in 1 second. I'm just going to do Aquestive first. And so yeah, Aquestive, I don't think most people saw this video, but I did a video based on this being an inverse head and shoulders pattern. And I was suggesting in the video that $2.50 could be a good dip buying opportunity. Dipped lower than that. Spent about 2 months after having, didn't confirm above, but having tested that neckline, spent about 2 months over here. I lost interest in it. Took about 10% profit, I think. And then, it ripped from 250 up to 6 whatever, 150% swing. So I missed out on that. That sucks. I thought that it would go to $4. That's why I have the big purple line there. And that's just based on a measured move from the base of the head here, top of the head, to the neckline, drawing that to where I guess it ultimately broke, but I was thinking it was going to break from here, bringing it right to around $4. Went up a lot higher than that. Now it's pulling back. I would think $4 will be acting as some substantial support. Did, over here, but before it continued down. But yeah, I mean, this is, though, like a little bit risky because, my understanding of it is a little bit risky because, you have this big up move, and then rather than getting consolidation following that up move, you have a pullback and then consolidation. And so that does suggest that maybe this is not so bullish, maybe this is bearish consolidation, and that this could be coming back to the scene of the crime, which is the neckline here. And so this could potentially, because this went up and then pulled back to consolidate, this makes me think this could be coming down to the neckline, which is about a drop of 25% or so. So I feel like this is looking more risky than good. I don't think this is a discount. I think that this is a potentially the beginning of further downside. But there is this gap here, so I think that will eventually be filled. But since there was this breakout, it's like really, I mean, you have this uptrending level. It's resistance all throughout this time. It has not once been tested as support, not once. I mean, you can look at this the entire time. There has not been one close above it, like just above it. You have it here, it gets rejected there, and then it closes well above it. So that line is right around $3, $2.95. You get a close here at $3.20. So there has not been any tests of this level as support. And so I definitely feel like Aquestive is likely to be returning to it. And I did that measurement, but I didn't see what price that would be. Right around $3. I could see it pulling back to $3.10. So I think this one's looking risky, believe it or not. But I think that is kind of how the stocks go. You have a good call, make some money on it, and then you kind of fall in love with that stock. Oh, I know this stock. I made money with it before. I'm gonna make money with it again because I know it well. But then it pulls back, and then it's but I called it before, so I think that this is it was up at $6 before. It's gonna go back there, but then that's how they get you, and this is gonna come down to $3 a share. Which sucks, and that's why it's good to take profit, or at least trim when in profit, because price tends to come back. And so I could see it coming back to $3. And then I will look at AKBA, and then I'll try to zip through a lot of these because I've been doing this for over an hour now, and I have to be at work early. I'm doing 12-hour shifts tomorrow and Tuesday, so it'll be kind of rough. But I'll still try to have videos out, try to do some clips from this. But let's see. Quodwell, you're saying AKBA looks like it filled the gap from 315. Yep, most definitely. Actually, almost. I mean, and I think this is an interesting thing about gaps too. While you do have the candle here with the high of $1.43, the low over here was $1.43. So yes, that does look like that gap was filled, but this is a red candle, so it's not from the top here. It's actually, the gap is from the bottom here. The close was at 137. So I would think that while it does look like, this gap that we see here was filled, if we look at this on a shorter time frame, we would see that it closed down here and then opened up here, pulled back, and so there's still this gap. Let's see, I'll do a little rectangle. There's a little gap still, it would be coming down to here, and now there's still a gap over here. And so I would think that coming down to 137, is that what I said? That might be happening. And also, this is a big red candle here, down 18.3%, down moves, and then consolidation. So that might be a bear flag. I mean, it could be finding support and could be going higher, but let's see. What are other things that might suggest what this might do? This is a higher low so far. Looks about the same at the RSI, kind of flat there. Let's see. This is, this is kind of a lagging indicator, but this is lower highs in the RSI, whereas you have higher highs in the stock price. Of course, we saw this big down move. It's not too helpful. But yeah, maybe connecting this to over here. Maybe that's significant, but it does look like it's support. So I mean, you know, you could interpret this in different ways, but just connecting these points here, so this is like approximately the high from November 7th, approximately the high from December 21st. You could connect it here, I mean, with the low over here on January 19th. You know, that was resistance here, resistance, then broke above, retraced to the scene of the crime, continued higher, retraced again, now going back. So I would look for, I mean, I draw that line here. Let's see, this is a low 129, and this is a high of 116. So 116, 129. And so from that line, I would look for closes below that. If there's one close below that trend, that uptrend, wait to get a confirming close. If you get a second close that's lower than that new low, then that's bad news. Like right here, you get a close below, I don't know, I can adjust this y-axis so it's a little clearer. You get a close below that uptrend. That doesn't look so good, but there's no confirming close. So it's like, well, I'm going to still stay long because we got a close lower. We didn't confirm that, and that would be getting a close lower than 134, which was the low hit on that day. The next day it gaps up, and then after that, let's see, you know, even if you had picked up, even if you've been late to it, you know, it's like, oh, let's come back to this level. That actually just, I mean, looking at that, it's just like there's a good amount of history of bounces on this level. It breaks lower than that and closes lower than it. Okay, but I mean, it's still holding that level. I'm going to hold on to my position, or I'm going to wait to buy or wait to sell and see what happens. And then even if you wait until after you pick up at the close of the next day, there's still 45% potential upside. But then you get this massive bearish engulfing candle. Engulfed not only the previous day, day before, it's engulfed. Let's see, what was the open on this day? 188. The close on this day was 183. It's engulfed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles. That is a pretty bearish candle. So yeah, I mean, I feel like this is probably going lower. It's tested this uptrend many times. It's only going to be weaker now. And so I feel like it's probably going to break that, but I'd look for a confirming close. That is 2 closes below, with the second one being closing lower than the previous day's low. That hasn't happened yet, so this could be a bottom. There could be another rally, but it could also break. And then from that, I would see support. Let's see. Maybe it'd come down to 130 or potentially lower, 112. Yeah, I got the wick low here, wick high here. But yeah, I think that uptrend is going to be a pretty important one to pay attention to, as if you would have been paying attention to it, or if one, you know, would have been paying attention to it here, that would have been like, okay, I mean, it's still respecting that level by the dip. Yes, that's a super cool chart. And I will add that to there. I'm going to delete it here to move along. Oh, yeah, and you were saying $1. Man, I've got to check the live chat before I delete stuff. AKBA. So just look at this real quick again. You're saying, yeah, $1. Yeah, I could see it coming down to $1 as well. And that's just a psychological level too, you know. Time will always tell. Let's see, and then I'm just gonna scroll back up in the list. Sorry, I'm like so behind on the requests. Jay, I don't know if you're still here. I will try to do CVE right now. Damn. That is looking... So it's higher highs all around, so that's good there. But this... let's see. So this is forming lower high there. And this is a higher high in the RSI. However, this could keep going. I think that this is probably going to test 2384. And so the reason for that, I mean, RSI is pretty ridiculous though right now, 88.39. But just looking at this, I see, this lower high here, but price could keep going up and then it negate that signal. But you do have a higher high in the RSI. Actually, no, this is bearish divergence. Yeah, bearish divergence. But yeah, I mean, if the stock price continues to go higher, that could negate that, but it's not just going to keep going. Let's see. It's got these double tops here. So let's see, what's a kind of a round number around these prices? 21 bucks. So I'd say 21 bucks. I'd look for, let's see, because we've got these, wicks here that we can look at. If there is a close, if there starts to be a close below these, so that would be like the low from Friday's $20.93, or the low on Thursday, $20.89. If there's a close below that, I'd say put on, the flashers, caution signal. That might be turning around, but I do think that this could continue higher to these all-time highs. Or I don't know, is that the all-time high? The 2146. So yeah, this might be the all-time high. Nope, not the all-time high. But yeah, actually, maybe looking at this on the good amount of history there. This actually looks really good. This looks really good. Big moves to the upside. Bull flag is what that seems like to me. So I think that this will probably get back to the highs here of like 24 bucks. And I think that might be a good time to reevaluate. But also, keep an eye on $21 and those levels that I just mentioned, those previous lows for the past couple days. Starting to get closes below that suggests weakness, but it does seem like it's going to go higher. That's what I think. But of course, could be wrong. And then Ricardo, yeah, I'll do SoFi and SOXS now. Sorry I'm going so slow. And this, make sure it's on DGen Ed. And yeah, SoFi, getting close to the end. SoFi, I had seen something, let's see, I might pull this up on Twitter. I think TrendSpider did something on SoFi recently. Oh man. I thought, oh yeah, that's because I need to get back to their page. Look up SoFi, man. Huh, I guess it's too far in the past. Sorry. But yeah, they had shown something about maybe there being like an inverse head and shoulders pattern. I didn't really see it. Man, I've drawn a lot on this. I've been following it a lot, but not too closely recently. And so I'm going to delete this retracement. It's probably not too useful right now. I think this is a rough line. Yep. Let's see. Potentially broken out from this downtrend. So I would look for a reclaim of, 750. But yeah, I mean, two green candles and then it looks like some consolidation. This is not a bearish engulfing candle because the open was 765, which was wait, sorry, the close, sorry, the close 731, the open here 731. So yeah, not bearish engulfing. Doesn't fully engulf that previous candle. But yeah, 750 and then getting a close above 771 this high. I think that would be good. But yeah, I mean, this is, bull flag here and breakout from this wedge. Another bull flag. I guess I'd look for closes. I'd be concerned if there was a close below 720, 721. Haven't seen that yet. So I think this looks pretty good. And yeah, and then if we assume from this run, going from here right around 1050 down to the lows here, it does look like it's right around resistance. I mean, it got rejected from the 786, or sorry, the 236. And so I think closing above 769 right around there would be good. Getting a close above 788 would be really nice. And then, the next level up, 823. Those are approximate because I do not have these marked exactly to the highs and lows. But yeah, this does look like it could be a little mini bull flag. So I'd be concerned if it got a close below 720 or 721. And yes, I will add SNDL as well. What's up, Junior? And or JR. Let's see. But I believe I did include that in the recent, I think Tilray's in the title of the video, but I did include sundial in that as well. So I will go over that briefly at the end. I'm just going to try to make some progress on these other ones, and then I will wrap up soon. I'm just going to try to go through what's up here. SoFi and SOXS. So yeah, so let's see, I've got that all on the chart already. So yeah, I mean, what I see with this, when I feel like I'll look up SOXX, which is just a semiconductor ETF, which is basically the same as SMH, shake my head. And so we see this, bearish engulfing candle. And, really like the video that I did on shorting the market, I have some trend lines on the SPX. And, the semiconductors, whether that's SMH or SOXX, have really been following that. This is the end of October here, so this is a low in the stock market, high in the short ETFs, and we've just been on this rampage. But then with the S&P 500, the SPX, it's been consolidating into this rising wedge that's broken down multiple levels. I can bring that up real quick just to show examples of it. And yeah, so I mean, like I initially just had these two white uptrends, but then we started to get so many breaks below that lower white uptrending line. So I drew this other retrace or uptrending line, the yellow one, based on these two pivot points highlighted there. Started to see some closes below it, started to see some breaks below it. And also, I thought that this seemed to me like it was a clear break below that uptrending line because we did get a close below it. But I think there's a debate, from my understanding, maybe I could have drawn this line a little bit differently. But we did start to see, break around here. And then really what we got was confirmation here with this bearish engulfing candle, engulfing this previous candle that had clearly, open and closed below that trend line. And so now we're starting to see not only breaking below this trend line, but also this yellow trend line, getting multiple closes below it, and then getting a bearish engulfing candle, engulfing both of those candles. And so I feel like this, SPX, we could look at this very similar with the semiconductors. If we have a trend line here, something like that, did break below it. I mean, I can just draw a quick little trend line here. And, we clearly got a break below it and then a bearish engulfing candle. So it does look like this will be going lower. However, because we have seen a break below it, we might see a retest of this level as resistance. I suspect it will get rejected. I suspect it will be acting as resistance. So we could see that here with the SPX, we could see a retest of this uptrending line, which would be a new all-time high. And so I do think that it is good to be cautious building the short positions. And so like with the SOXS, or really before I get into that, the SOXX, I mean, if this does come back up to here, let's say this high here, this is not an all-time high, you know, because we got this high over here. But if we do test the high from this day, from April 1st, that was 231.45. So if we consider that, thinking about the SOXS, we have, let's see, this I believe was the low from April 1st, and that was at a price of $2.98. So I could see price coming down to $2.98, if not lower, before moving higher. And I do think that, you know, as the market starts to roll over, it's not going to be just a clean down for a while. I think that there are going to be bounces along it. And so I think it will be good to, like, just like right here, you know, buy the dip and then it goes up. I think it's good to be selling when that does happen. And what's an indicator for for recognizing that that's a top? I mean, it did come back to the lows over here. And so maybe that was a good signal to sell. You know, I have, all of my positions are small. I have over 100 shares of SOXS, but it is going to be doing a reverse split on the 15th, and it's 1 for 10. So if you have 100 shares, you'll have 10 shares. So that's going to suck. But yeah, this, you know, move up here would have been a good time to trim, and then down here now I imagine is probably a good time to trim, or, you know, on Thursday when there was the big red move in the market, good time to trim. I think that we will see some more up moves in the market, as well as semiconductors this coming week. And so that could be a nice time to add before there's a next bounce in short positions, this being short semiconductors. But yeah, then I will move on to the next ticker on the list, which I believe is Rivian. Okay, sorry, more money. Sorry if you've been waiting this whole time. And so I'll put Rivian up, and then I think after that is Biora, and then I'll get to Sundial. You're welcome, Ed. You're welcome, Ricardo. All right, so Rivian. This is one. This is bittersweet for me because for me, I saw the price over here and I was thinking that's a buy the dip opportunity. I didn't buy the dip. It runs up. I look back, man, I wish I had bought the dip there. I get the opportunity to buy the dip over here. I think that it's following along this uptrending level, but it breaks below and can't get higher. And so I decided that I keep building, you know, starting with, oh, this will be, you know, a swing trade or whatever to fill this gap up to 15.18. And then I just end up having all of these positions where I'm just holding the bag and it's like I keep adding, but it's not going anywhere. And so I've decided I've got to start using exercising my stop losses. And so I set a stop loss at 10.05 because that's the low here. If it goes lower than that, I suspect, you know, it's hitting a new low. It's probably going to go lower. And so, you know, I sold my shares at a loss, and that sucks. Not a huge position, but it was a more notable loss than I would have liked to take. And so for me, you know, I'm, at least for myself, because I did sell at a loss, I'm going to wait 30 days before considering buying back, just because it's a wash sale. Otherwise, I'd have to pay taxes on. I don't get the tax benefit, you know, I can't take advantage of that loss. But one thing that I do see with this is that the RSI does look like it's putting in a higher low potentially, but this could also go lower. Whereas the price is a lower low, so that is bullish divergence. But the stock price could go lower, RSI could go lower. So for me, I'm just waiting and evaluating, not planning on making any moves for the next month. And I do feel like, you know, the way things work is, you buy a stock because you think it's bottomed, and then because you bought it, it keeps going down. Well, I just sold at a loss here because I think it's going down. I imagine the bottom's in, and that sucks for me. But I hope that that is the bottom, so that it goes up. I know a lot of people like the stock. I like the stock. I like the company, but I'm trying to get better at trading. And if I just keep adding as things go down, and then don't have enough money to add more as things go down, I'm not trading. I'm just bag holding. So, using the money that I had invested in Rivian to add to other positions and whatnot. But I would look for, we got to close. There have not been, like, let's see, what was the close on Thursday? Close 1013. There have not been any closes below these lows of 1005. So I would look for, if there is a close below 1005, especially if there's a close below 1001, which is the new low here, the new 52-week low, that to me would make me think it's going a lot lower. If there's one close below 1001, that's really, like, I would think kind of like confirmation of breaking down from this, and that it would go lower. So I'd keep an eye on 1005, 1001, no closes below those levels. If we don't see closes below those levels, I think the bottom's in, and I think it could be filling the gap at 1518. And knowing my luck, it will do that over the course of the next 30 days. So yeah. But for me, I just, I was thinking, well, maybe I should set my limit, my stop loss a little lower than 1005. But then it's like, well, then I'm just going to get into an arbitrary number. Maybe I should have just set it at 10. That would have not been hit. And maybe the bottom's in. So, but I could also see, this being driven down to $10 a share or lower. And, yeah, but keep an eye on 1005 and 1001. Those are important levels for closes. Hopefully that's helpful. Yeah, more money. My take on Rivian is just that for me, I had to exit, and because of that, I think it is more likely to go up. But if it's closing below 1001 or 1005, it's no good. And so hopefully that was useful. Delete this. I will do Biora now before I go to Sundial. And so this, I feel like, this is consolidating at new lows. I think it's probably going to go down to this green line, this green downtrend. It had done that over here. And this does look like, big move down, consolidating. That to me looks like a bear flag. And so what I did, and this is probably, everybody's different, I can only buy shares in 100 share increments because the price is below $1. And I like to add things slowly. Doing a $72 purchase at once is more aggressive than I typically am. And so for me, last week, I believe it was last week. Yeah, it had to have been last week. I was, it's like, okay, it'd be nice if it returned to 67 cents. I'll buy there. Then it goes up, and then I see the low here, 71 cents basically. Okay, well, if it goes down to 71, I'll buy the dip there. Then the next day, the low is 73, and it's like, man, okay, I'm just going to 73, whatever it is. So I added about 100 shares there, and then now I think I have like maybe 12 or 1,300. I know I have more than 1,000 shares, but it's like something in 70. And so then I have now 130 share buy order at 67 cents. If it returns to this low, I'll add that. If it doesn't over the course of the next week, then I'll probably just set an arbitrary buy, whatever it's at. 75.60. Let's see, that was the low over here. So I think that's going to be an important level. We haven't been able to get any closes above that over the past week. So if we can get a close above 75.60, I think that would be good, suggesting that the bottom could be in, especially if, let's see, the high here on Wednesday the 3rd, 77.44 cents. So I think it'd be good to get a close above that. And that could really be suggesting that maybe the gap would be filled soon. But I do think that, this is long term, in my view, hold. They've got a lot of good news coming out this year. I feel like whether that's partnerships, collaborators, whatnot, that are big name pharmaceutical companies, I believe, and then also results from the clinical trials that they're running. And I think that they are not only developing a good drug treatment, but also a novel technology behind that in dispersing, targeting where the drug is released. So it's like you take a pill that's supposed to target your gut, and but then it is absorbed into the bloodstream as it's making its way into your body. I think it's about I forget I from watching the earnings call, it was like 30 minutes or something in your body. That's typically when pill is absorbed into the bloodstream. But the way that their capsule works, I'm forgetting the name of it, is that it waits until it's in the colon and then it releases. And so it's a targeted dosage. And that seems to me like it will have, if it's successful in these studies, it'll have broad application for other dosing, other drugs. It will be a dosing device. Oh, you need it to be delivered, closer to this part of your body or that part of your body. Based on your digestive tract, we can have it released when it meets or is near whatever organ. And so I think that there's just a lot of potential with the company. I feel like more than the drug, I think the technology that they're using, that's scanning the body as it's dosing, I think that's just going to be really, really good. So sorry for rambling about that, but I think that if this dips to 67 cents, hey, I'll add. If it dips lower than that, which I do think it could, maybe it could go down to 50 cents. I want to be able to add there because I did not add aggressively enough over here. Now's the time for that. But, for me, I'm just going to, every week, I'm going to try to have an order filled. If 67 cents isn't filled by, Friday, okay, it's at 75 cents. I'll add a little bit more. And so that's how I'm going to approach it. And I am just waiting for the time to pass, the year to go by. And in the meantime, I sell covered calls that don't get filled very often, but make $5 whenever they do. And they are, monthly contracts. And so I think that this is going to be a huge winner by the end of the year. So I'm stoked about it. And JR, yeah. So SNDL, I will move on to that next. And that might be, I will probably run through some of these. But I got a comment with a bunch of the ticker requests in it. It's tough to go over like one request at a time. Otherwise, it gets to be a little overwhelming. But yeah, Sundial. So JR, you're saying SNDL doesn't make any sense. They had good annual earnings book value at $4. Can you give us your perspective on all this? Yeah, so I think that like earnings, all of that stuff, I think, as far as the company goes, I think it matters. As far as the stock price goes, I don't think it really matters. I think it's about momentum and sentiment. And I think that, like, I went over this in the video I did over the weekend, but just like all of these cannabis stocks are up so much. And, companies looking good, diversifying the sector, the cannabis sector. This is up 100% here to the highs. Cannabis sector seems like it's making a lot of progress. These companies have matured over the past few years. Some of them I feel like have gotten more risky. Let's see, Sundial, market cap of over $500 million. They're not a small company. They're not huge, but compared to some of the other cannabis stocks, I don't know if they're in the upper half. I think they are. I'm pretty sure they are. They're the ones that I've looked at. And things are looking good for them. There's the Schedule 3 possibility, which I feel like doesn't necessarily do so much as far as like these companies seem like they're more focused on recreational rather than medicinal. And I think that Schedule 3 is good for medicinal. But I do think that steps forward with cannabis, I think is good for the companies. And also with this being in an election year, candidates want to appeal to the broader public. And I feel like the broader public supports this kind of stuff, especially younger voters. And um, and so I feel like election years are good years where you see states legalize, and you get pushes for federal. And we're seeing that with the Schedule 3. And so I think that all of these seem like they're going to be doing really good later this year. But I just think that after, Sundial's pretty extreme, going up 100%. But like ACB, Aurora Cannabis, they went up, I believe, like 300%. So that seems like it's definitely overheated. And if there's some, in the sector that are overheated, I think that's kind of a sign that just generally the sector is a little overheated. And I think that, regardless of what Tilray's earnings are, if they're great, phenomenal, whatever they are, I think that, just looking at that chart, I believe it's a $2 billion company. This is up to the highs, 85%. Market cap almost 2 billion. So probably would have been 2 billion when it hit up here. And yeah, I think that with earnings here having come up this high, maybe we see some green tomorrow. It's like, yes, green, it's going higher. But I think ultimately, you can look at what happened with Canoe around their earnings. I actually, I was thinking about buying puts on this before earnings, but I was at work and I didn't get to place the order before the market closed, because I saw, it's gone up, then it's coming down, but now it's green on this day. I don't know. Maybe that down move is it before earnings. Then it goes up, and then it drops. And so I almost bought a put on this, and yeah, I would have made money with that. And so with these, like with earnings here, it's also different sector and all of this stuff. But just given the nature that this has gone up a lot, I think that this is likely to go down following earnings, which will represent good dip buying opportunities, or present good dip buying opportunities, I should say. Who knows where that dip will be, the bottom. But like with Sundial, I think that if Tilray goes down, it's like if Tesla goes down, the EV sector goes down. And so maybe that's not a fair comparison, Tilray and cannabis, Tesla and EVs. But yeah, and also, seeing this big moves going up after their earnings, I was kind of on the fence because of, all these levels that I had down here. I didn't know that it would get higher. But then here, this is a 21% move in a day, consolidation, move up, consolidation, move up. I don't know that this is consolidation anymore because it's just moved back so much. And so, yeah, with cannabis sector, I think that while it will be doing better later this year, I think that it's probably going to cool off. And so Sundial, I could see it coming down to $2, maybe 182. Maybe this red line here, 171. I'm not sure. It's tough to predict that. But then I think that it would be, wherever it's settling out at, I think that could be good dip buying opportunities for opportunities later the year when election stuff starts to heat up more. There's more talk about cannabis, trying to get more people to vote for whichever candidate, just more talk about this stuff. I think that could be, I think it's probably going to be a good year for cannabis overall. But I just think that right now they might be pulling back a little bit. So that's not to say that I'm bearish. That's just to say that if it does come lower, don't be surprised to be ready for it. But also note that it might not be, if any of them do pull back, it might be short-lived. It might also not be short-lived. I feel like things tend to go slower than I usually expect. So, and then so I will probably, doesn't make sense. Book it up for you. Yeah, so I just think that with as far as this having a book value of $4, let's see, where is that? It's getting up to. It's getting up to like these highs here. I mean, I could. Yeah, I mean, and look at this too. I mean, we. Like from this coming down, it's like lower highs. Now we see a higher high. But I just think that it's going to need to cool off, just like it cooled off after this run up before making the higher high. It cooled off at higher lows over here. And so I think this will cool off at higher lows. Maybe at 177 or 170. That seems, I mean, I kind of like that. And I don't know, yeah, I mean, this, because you got this breakout here, I don't think that this downtrend's that significant, so I don't think we need to retrace to the scene of that crime, but I do think that 171 could be in the future. But maybe I'm wrong, so good to plan for it to, you know, if it does go up, what are you going to do? If it does go down, what are you going to do? And for me, I had a very small, laughable position in Tilray, and I think CGC as well. But then it was just, I had too many small positions, so I got rid of them. If these pull back, I will, I mean, Tilray is just, I mean, it's like they all move the same, but some are more volatile than others. I feel like Tilray is a safer one because of its size, but Sundial as well as I think CGC, those seem like they're, I mean, I've covered them most, so I guess I'm a little biased there. But yeah, I mean, I just think that the sector overall is going to be doing good this year. And so I will go over some of these real quick, but I've got to get to bed soon because I got to be up early. And so I'm going to go over Genius Group, GNS, 46.35 cents. And so with this, I mean, you do have, I mean, I just looking at this, I don't feel too convinced. I feel like this is pretty skeptical. But what you do have over here, I was just talking about higher lows and whatnot, or higher highs, higher lows. You do have higher lows here. You do have higher high, higher low right here. And so maybe good to connect the lows here. Maybe that's a floor. Good to keep an eye on that. Here, higher lows, higher lows. This is a higher, this is a lower high, but then in the RSI, it's a higher high. But following that, we did see a pullback. I would look for a retest of this uptrend. That would still be putting in a higher low. If it does pull back to, let's see, 28.5 cents or 28 cents, then that would not be a higher low. And that to me would be a level, a stop loss level, because then you're forming, you're not forming a higher low, and who knows how low it will go after that. So those are my thoughts on that one. Not too extensive, but I'd look for a pullback at this point. But maybe this is a bull flag, though. It just seems like it's pretty steep. And, you know, you have this move up. This looks like it's a bull flag that failed. You got this down move and then consolidation. So this seems more like bearish consolidation at this point. So I do think that it could be pulling back to like 30 cents. And maybe that would be a good dip buying opportunity. But then keeping a stop loss at like 28 cents. And if it goes lower than that, it could be coming down to 23, 24 cents. And then I will also do HSCS. Let's see. Oh, and I should note, I'll probably do a live stream Wednesday evening, but I haven't It's possible I'll have plans then, but I can do Wednesday or Tuesday. I mean, I can do evenings now, so I'll probably do another evening stream this week. So let's see. Lows here. So of these, this is 10 cents, 11 cents. I'm less convinced by this one, HSCS. Seems risky to me. I'm more intrigued by GNS. So of these two, I'm more interested in that one. ICU is another one that was requested. This one, higher lows. And let's see, the RSI, also higher lows. This, yeah, I mean, I guess might be good to draw a trend line here. I mean, with earnings though, this seems, I think that, yeah, I mean, it's getting this level that's kind of been tested multiple times, so it could be breaking lower. Earnings are, or were, when were earnings? Are tomorrow on Monday, the 8th. So at this point, I mean, I could see it bouncing. I could also see it breaking lower. Earnings are very unpredictable, and this is like pretty close to this level that I'm not sure. I mean, if I connect these lines, you know, it's to the lows here versus the lows here. It's pretty close to that level. So I don't know how. I think this is risky around earnings. I think that it's kind of like 50-50 whether it breaks lower, could be coming down to like 42 cents, or if it goes higher. So with this around earnings, I think that this is risky. So I would wait until after earnings for this one. Because this is just like, with it being so close to this line, I think that it's, I don't know. Yeah, it's 50-50. And then INBS. So it just had a reverse split, 1 for 12. I hate it when they're not like 1 for divisible by 10. Because, you know, it's just you move the decimal place over. That's easy. And so, yeah, I mean, with that, it's got these moves up with the reverse split. Of these 4 stocks that were requested in the comment, I'm most intrigued by GNS. I think that one looks cleanest with this having the reverse split here, 1 for 12. And it, yeah, I mean, it's just moved up and then it's just kind of hung out lower. I mean, it's just been fading here. And so maybe, I mean, maybe you could make the argument that you're getting a wedge forming here or something that could break. But this could also be interpreted as like a descending triangle, maybe as a break to the downside. So, yeah, I mean, because you do have this, you know, this did come down before doing this. So, yeah, I think it's a tough one. But, yeah, I mean, I think I've gone on for an hour and 53 minutes, so I think I'm going to wrap this up. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. I will try to add timestamps, but I'm probably going to have a hard time with that. But I'll probably do that in the morning. I'm probably going to go to bed pretty soon, wake up early, get ready for work, and try to do some timestamps. I might bring my computer to work to add those timestamps when I'm there. Don't tell my boss. And yeah, I'll probably do that during break and lunch and stuff like that. So, you know, I hope that you guys all found this helpful, and I will try to do another one of these. I'm thinking Wednesday evening. The solar eclipse for sure. I wish that I was able to see it. I saw it in 2017. I was in Colorado with some friends. We drove up to Wyoming, I believe, and saw it on the line of totality. It was an incredible experience. And so I would definitely recommend it if you guys are near the line of totality. I'd recommend going to it. I have to be at work all day, so it sucks. But I at least got to see it once, and I appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, work is work. And yeah, but yeah, it's a pretty interesting week. And I was actually thinking, are there any stocks that could be related to or benefit from something like a solar eclipse? Whenever there's an event like this, I need to be thinking, what's something that could benefit from it that might go up because of it or go down because of it? But I'm not sure. But yeah, I'll add timestamps by the end of tomorrow. All of the tickers will have timestamps, and I'll try to release some clips as well. But thank you so much for hanging out. And if you did enjoy the live stream, make sure you like it. I appreciate all of the requests in the live chat. It's been a busy day or a busy stream. And so hopefully it was beneficial for you guys, helpful for you guys. Definitely did see some pretty interesting things in the charts. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this week. And I'm very curious to see what happens with the S&P 500, semiconductors, and let's see. Yeah, if my Biora order gets filled, and yeah, I'm excited for the week. So I hope you guys are too. And yeah, I'll have timestamps out by the end of the day tomorrow. So thank you so much for joining, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the evening, great start to the week. And if you are going to enjoy the solar eclipse, I hope you do enjoy that because it's a magical experience. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, thanks a lot for hanging out. I'll talk to you